Ukraine has carried out one of its most audacious operations yet, launching a wide-scale drone strike deep into Russian territory, targeting key air bases located thousands of miles from front lines. The mission, reportedly in planning for over 18 months, involved covertly transporting drones into Russia, where they were concealed inside wooden mobile homes mounted on trucks, according to a source familiar with the operation from Ukraine's domestic intelligence agency. The strikes are believed to have caused approximately $7 billion in damages and impacted 34% of Russia's strategic cruise missile bomber fleet stationed at major airfields. The operation highlights Ukraine's ongoing capacity to strike far behind enemy lines, even as Moscow intensifies its own military campaigns. Military observers have described Sunday's drone barrage on Russian bomber bases as one of Kiev's most significant attacks since the onset of the conflict. According to the intelligence source, more than 40 aircraft were damaged or destroyed, including long-range strategic bombers such as the TU-95 and Tu-22M3, as well as one of Russia's few A-50 airborne early warning planes. The Tu-22M3 serves as a long-range missile platform capable of launching precision strikes from well within Russian airspace, safely beyond the reach of Ukrainian air defenses. At the start of the year, Russia reportedly had 55 Tu-22M3s and 57 Tu-95s in service, based on global military data. The Tu-95, originally developed in the 1950s, has since been modernized to carry cruise missiles, much like its Tu-22 counterpart. Aviation experts say the destruction of these bombers, capable of delivering some of Russia's most powerful cruise missiles, could force Moscow to increase its reliance on drones for future air assaults against Ukraine. Beyond the immediate impact on military capabilities, the raid presents a political and strategic setback for President Vladimir Putin. One U.S.-based defense analyst noted that the Kremlin will likely shift greater focus and resources toward domestic security in response to such a breach. Ukraine managed to position drone-equipped containers within visual range of critical Russian airfields and launch a large-scale air assault. Imagine the challenge of justifying that to the president, the analyst said. This operation follows earlier symbolic victories for Ukraine, including the sinking of the Russian cruiser Moskva, the flagship of the Black Sea Fleet, during the early stages of the war. The Moskva, one of the Navy's most prized assets, was lost just 50 days into the invasion, a severe blow to Russia's naval strength and national prestige. In April 2022, Ukraine's Southern Military Command reported the warship began sinking after being hit by Neptune anti-ship missiles. Russia claimed the fire on board triggered explosions in the ship's munitions, resulting in severe damage and the evacuation of the crew. The loss was considered devastating not only militarily but symbolically, akin to the U.S. Navy losing a major battleship in World War II or an aircraft carrier in modern times. The blow to Moscow's naval power marked the beginning of a series of defeats for Russia's Black Sea Fleet. In early 2024, a squad of 6 sea drones, each powered by jet skis, launched a nighttime attack on a Russian guided missile ship Ivanovets. Video footage later released by Ukrainian sources showed Russian forces firing at the oncoming drones as they sped toward the vessel. At least 2 of the drones made direct impact with the ship's side, causing severe explosions that ultimately disabled the vessel. Another major target in Ukraine's campaign was the Kerch Bridge, a 12-mile structure constructed after Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014. The bridge served as a key supply corridor for Russian forces and was considered a personal achievement by President Vladimir Putin, symbolizing his goal of permanently linking Crimea to Russia. Russia reportedly spent around $3.7 billion to build the bridge. In July 2023, Ukraine claimed responsibility for an attack that severely damaged sections of the bridge's roadway. The operation reportedly involved an experimental sea drone and resulted in the deaths of 2 civilians, according to Russian authorities. Ukraine's security agency described the Kerch Bridge strike as a coordinated effort between national intelligence units and naval forces. The structure remains vital for both civilian needs and military logistics in the occupied peninsula. Meanwhile, several prominent Russian military and political figures have been killed within Russia's borders over the past year. While Ukraine has refrained from publicly acknowledging responsibility, many of those targeted played major roles in supporting Moscow's military campaigns. Last month, A senior Russian official, deputy mayor, and decorated war veteran Zor Alexandrovich Gertsev was killed in an explosion in southern Russia. Authorities launched a broad investigation, exploring various possibilities, including a potential Ukrainian-backed terrorist operation. Gertsev had reportedly contributed to Russian missile targeting strategies during the brutal campaign against Mariupol, a port city where nearly 90% of the residential infrastructure was destroyed, based on international estimates. According to state-run programming that highlighted his military service, Gertsev had introduced innovations that significantly improved missile precision and strike capability. In a separate incident this past April, Russian authorities detained an individual identified as a Ukrainian intelligence operative, charging him with terrorism in connection with a car bombing that killed Russian General Yaroslav Moskalik. Moskalik had served as a deputy director of operations for Russia's general staff, placing him in a high-level strategic role. And in February, Armen Sarkisian, a known militia leader aligned with Russia's interests in eastern Ukraine, was killed by a bombing in central Moscow. The explosion took place in an upscale residential complex in the capital. Ukrainian officials had long described Sarkisian as a key figure behind organized criminal activity tied to the war effort. Though Kiev has remained silent on these incidents, the pattern of high-profile killings across Russian territory has not gone unnoticed, and many believe they represent a calculated effort to destabilize Russia's internal war infrastructure.